There's one game that recently I've been thinking about games, especially the game that I've been off and on creating, more or less. And it's basically a JRPG that is more of the old style of of the 16-bit era, more in line with role playing games on the Super Nintendo and Super Famicom. Yeah, yeah. I know it's the same system, just different regions, but yeah. Um, and also games that like Final Fantasy Tactics and there are other variant of it. I think it was called Final Fantasy Tactics A1. That's the one where you play as a kid and you're start off at a school and it's a snowball fight, and then you end up in the Final Fantasy world. Anyways, with that particular game that I was planning, I still don't have a name for it. Um, Most of it is pretty much done. I'm still working on with the storyline, the different story outcomes and stuff like that, and also some of the finalization of the designs of certain things, of monsters and characters, and also of locations. Yeah, but here's the thing. Things have happened recently, such as economic situation. I'm not going to go into it. Most of it is basically that unforeseen, bills and stuff that happened, just of basically stuff that is out of my hand that you know, I can't control and I had to pay for, It's unexpected bills, as my dad calls them. Things like that. So that usually, takes like whatever savings that you end up having, sets you back and stuff like this. So what I was saving up for, for it, for the game engine that I want to use. Yeah, and I was trying to save up for the game engine so I can make the damn game, have it all built up, and then when I'm done with that, and worry about of releasing it on Steam, and also to pay for the upfront cost of for Steam, which is like $200, and then also for copyrighting it and trademarking the the title of the game, and also copyrighting is the music and the artwork, and oh yeah, those other things I still can't afford, let alone the engine. And the engine is actually the cheapest thing because it's not gonna be like 3D or anything like that. It's just gonna be just pixelated stuff. Uh, yeah, because I was thinking about doing like a more of a 3D world where the characters are just sprites, more or less. Well, it's a 3D object, technically. Basically, your character is technically a cube, and each face of the side of the cube is basically, the pixelated side of the character, such as the front view, the side, left or right view, and the back. But have your character always at in an isometric kind of position, more or less, So they're not, not see directly in front, but more diagonal. So to give them a little more depth, maybe. Something like that. I have other ideas, but still. No matter what, even to use an engine that's for it. I know that there's a Godot that I could use, but I really don't want to use Godot. I tried it and I just didn't like it. That's the thing. Like, all the things I want to do, there's already an engine that does everything that I want. Why would I bother trying to make all the same shite that is already within a game engine that I know how to use proficiently? That I haven't used in years, but plus I haven't used like the newest version of it, which I've seen it's hasn't changed that much, but still. So I was thinking about the games that I've been playing off and on for a few years now, and these are like, well, you can consider them like text adventures or life simulators, more or less, but it's all text-based games that have limited graphics and sound, and some of them have video clips and stuff. Very rarely they own their own material. You know, there's some that are really good that actually had really good artwork that they did themselves, or they commissioned others to do so. There's one game that I happen to like. They did was an excellent job of the use of AI with it, such as like having a set of announcers and stuff like that. You know, of basically to have AI as the voice actors, more or less, where it doesn't sound really weird or robotic, but of how it is, you hear the voices before in other things, and you know, like, oh yeah, it's AI. But the dialogue that they created for it, you know, for these AI voices, ends up being really funny. Yeah, and majority of these kind of games, I've noticed that they just take images and video clips and whatever, and sound clips that are online and stuff that they don't have the rights of use of it, you know. Yeah. So they just use it anyways, and they're free games. They're not really making money off of it, but they do have attached to it is like a donation if you want to donate. But I was thinking of all these different type of games, of what I liked about them, what I didn't like, and if I was going to create something like this, of what I want into it. And I also thought of how long it would take me. For me, I would say the longest would, well, technically would be till the end of time, more or less. But realistic speaking, I would say 2 months, with me working on it, you know, setting time and date every day, you know, like an hour or so of doing this for 2 months, you know, having a game that's fully functional and it, you know, just ready to play, you know, with all the graphics and sounds that are needed for the base game. And I might add stuff later on down the road. But something that is stable and working, I would say, you know, and launching it would take, well, yeah, about 2 months. But if I was going to do it really quickly, I would, even if I did was not do the artwork myself, or I took out the art in general, just have it just all text based, but still having the game fully functioning and functional and when I say functional, I don't know why I said that, but still have it fully functional. The quickest would be about 2 weeks, maybe a little less, but yeah, 2 weeks. That's me working pretty hard on it, but still. Especially for what I want to do. It's not like I haven't done games like this before. You know, I have, but they were never really super extravagant. They just kind of look like it, but really weren't. The earlier games I'd done were written in BASIC, and it usually took me of typing was like the quickest I would say like somewhere about half an hour. The longest was like about an hour or so. Yeah, for these kind of games that I've made. But what I wanted to do was be a game where it's like a choose your own adventure. You know, you have multiple story outcomes and stuff like this, and your choices matter to what outcome you're going to get, and you have like multiple endings. Um, there's multiple endings with each story, storyline that you go through and whatnot. How whatever choices that you make, you can end up choosing your own weird path towards whatever outcome it is. Uh, and I was thinking also having like certain MacGuffins, that can facilitate towards certain outcomes. Also, depending on what choices you make with what MacGuffins that you have. But one thing that was occurring to me that in the middle of the night, just pottering and stuff like this, not really in deep thought, that just kind of hit me, but it seems pretty obvious that I didn't really think about it sooner. Especially in these kind of games, I don't really think about doing that. Is having stats on all the items. I mean, it's like kind of duh. I did make a game that was very similar to Orc Knight, but to be more crass, where there was basic stats, like defense stats on your armor and stuff like that, and attack stats on your weapons. Yeah, and magical items to increase your strength and speed like this. Those were pretty simple in that kind of a game, but with the one I'm thinking about, of a very simple game, I never really thought about it. And I was thinking, yeah, having stat bonuses, and probably also, uh, penalties as well on certain things. But the one thing that I always wanted. Yeah, the game that I'm going to be making, the simple game as it were, that's going to be free. It's going to be adults only. So take it as you will. Okay, bye.